What's going on, Niner fam? It is Peter Lucas. This is the Niner Fanatic Podcast. And I don't know what there's to be happy about. The 49ers essentially got eliminated from playoff contention last night in their loss to the Rams 12-6. Yes, you heard the score correctly. 12-6. Not one touchdown in the entire game. And we're going to talk about a few things today, but before we get to it, we always got to hit the music.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I like to know.
are you ready for start time?
And once again, it is Peter Lucas. This is the Niner Fanatic Podcast, and we're on Twitch, we are on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we are on Twitter, anywhere where you can get your audio podcast. Doesn't matter where you get it, just get it. And make sure you give the video a like. Make sure that you get it a subscribe. Make sure that you hit the bell so you get the notifications for when I go live. And yeah, the 49ers go down 12-6 to the Rams. Not one offensive touchdown. Not one interception that would lead to a touchdown. As much as Matt Stafford wanted to give the 49ers some turnovers, the 49ers were the only ones that gave away a turnover yesterday. And it really comes down to it was really the how do you explain it? It was really like just a microcosm of the entire season, snatching defeat from the jaws of victory, and once again, like this entire season, and it reminded you of the Super Bowl. There wasn't one thing that you could really this whole season. There's not one thing that you could literally just pinpoint and say, "Hey, they need to fix that." They're like over here. Oh, the offense. No, it's almost everything. Every facet of this team really kind of let the fans down in one way or another. And one day it was the offense, one day it was the defense, one day it was special teams. Sometimes it was all three. But in this game specifically, it was the offense. And the offense was putrid is a light term. It was just pathetic. You're coming off of a game. Coming off of a matchup against the Bears where you dominated on offense. And you dominated doing the things that you had done in the past, which is run the ball, heavy play action. That is what your quarterback, that's his strength. But in this game today, and I'm not even going to get to this game first. Not only that, but after you have a great game, you have a great game on offense. We have one captain, and I put that in heavy quotation marks. Captain is on social media whining and crying because people are calling him out for not producing. And I get it. Nobody likes to hear that they're not doing well. But at the same time, that it's not like the 49ers hadn't tried to get him the ball. But all season long, he's been making excuse after excuse after excuse of why the production wasn't there for him. And I think by now, I'm talking about Debo. To now, instead of doing the things that really just hammered home that the abilities of this offense in the last game against the Bears, and rather than doing that and trying the same thing against a worse defense, they decided, oh, we're gonna hammer the ball into Debo. We're gonna give him exactly what he's whining about. We're gonna give him all the touches because that has to be. I mean, it must be a broken wheel if people are complaining about Debo. When in actuality, the wheel wasn't broken. It wasn't broken until yesterday, and it was really just sad to watch them hand it off to him, try and throw screens to him, try and throw passes to him, and just nothing. Just nothing. And then the one time when they weren't covering him and he's wide open, he drops it off in stone hands. And I honestly, it's the only reason why I'm piling on Debo is because he talked. We've kind of gotten into this I don't know how to put it. We've kind of gotten into this era where we're not allowed to say anything about one person in particular. It's not the player's fault. We don't like to come down on the players because they give their heart and their soul, and a lot of that is true. But sometimes you should be able to just call a person out for you can't. This is the thing. You can't talk. I came up from a different era. And if you talked and did a whole bunch of yapping, you better show up on Sunday. Because if you don't, we were going to kill you. And when I say kill you, obviously figuratively speaking. But you were gonna get killed in the media. You were gonna get killed by the fans. Like that was the expectation. But for whatever reason, today's player thinks that they shouldn't have to take any criticism. I don't know. I don't know when at what point that switched up and at what point fans actually started believing it. But the reality is this: if you talk, I'm going to still talk about you. If you talk, I'm expecting production, and if you don't give me production, then you're going to get talked about. And Debo has not given us production all year long, and not just that. Not just is he not given production, but also he's just kept talking. Busts out with the podcast. He's got the podcast going. He's giving excuse. He doesn't want to talk about it when asked about it. Like you're a captain. You're smacking people in the face on the sideline. Like it's just he is the most non-captain I think I've ever seen, at least on the 49ers. I'm sure that there's been other captains that have been less than captainly. But on the 49ers, I can't remember the last time I saw a captain act the way that Debo does with zero accountability. And people are going to say, "Oh, well, he took accountability after that wasn't accountability." That was and maybe you're going to say that his apology isn't good enough for. It's not about being good enough for me. It's about just being good enough and period. And it said it all to me that, and we're going to hear from George Kittle after the game because I want everybody to listen to what he had to say about what he talked to Debo about after the game because it tells you everything that we've been saying. It tells you everything that we've been saying. And honestly, Kittle is a leader. He's showing you exactly what leadership is about. Brock didn't have a great game. Brock had to be honest, he had a really bad game. But you know what he did after the game? Took all of the responsibility, took all the accountability on himself. And constantly says, I have to be better. And if it's right, it's right. And so that's the way I look at it. I think that yesterday's game was a microcosm of what's been going on in the organization. Because we've talked about, if you've watched my show, we've talked about the philosophy changes. This team used to be all about the trenches. When they came in, they said they wanted to build this team from the inside out. They wanted to focus on that offensive line. They wanted to focus on the defensive line. And at some point, good enough became the mantra on the trenches. Good enough. We can scheme it up for the trenches. And it became all about the weapons. Well, here we are. We didn't focus on the trenches. Here we are. We have an offensive line that, statistically speaking, all the bean counters are going to come out with the PFF stats and say, "Oh well, he got this grade, and the offensive line wasn't that bad because the grade was." If you watch the game, they're just inconsistent because it's being schemed up, and it's not just the player being good. It's the way that the scheme. If they miss one thing on the scheme, that the whole play falls apart. And we've seen it all season long. That these plays have to be run to perfection. Otherwise, they're not going to be. Otherwise, they get nothing. And in fact, they get taken back. They get negative yards a lot of the time. So when you have, there is no margin for error. There's no margin for error in these plays. And that is a big issue with this team, is that we've gotten to the point to where it's not about toughness. They're not bullies. It's not about being tough. It's not about being physical. It became, a couple of years ago, it became about finesse. And we're going to do all the little motion and the eye candy, which was always there, but there was nuance. There was running game. There was shoving it down the other team's throat, until they just gave. And like a couple of years ago, you saw it. They just stopped caring about the trenches. And then we started hearing the talk from Shanny and the other coaches about, we don't feel we need any, like McKivitz is fine. He's serviceable. He's good enough because he can be in the right place. Instead of having a good player here, we'd rather have good players that touch the ball. So there was an obvious philosophy change. And that was the beginning of where we're at currently. Now, they're going to have to figure out what they want to be. Because right now, this team has its one foot. They have a toe stuck in the finesse game. And then they got a toe. They still got players that are built for the physical power game. So at some point, you're going to have to decide, do you just want to blow it up and become a finesse team and draft and sign the players that will make that work? Or are you gonna try and make these players into and all of a sudden run a finesse type of scheme? Because if you do that, this is what you're gonna get. So you're gonna have to decide. They're gonna have to make a decision, and I'm talking about Kyle and Lynch at the end of this season. In the offseason, they're gonna have to make some pretty hard decisions. But I would say that this team has. I would say Kittle, it should be untouchable. He can do whatever. I wouldn't mind seeing Debo go, but I just still don't see them getting rid of Debo. I know a lot of people expect him to be released at the end of this cut at the end of the season. I just don't see them cutting him. I know that people are talking about them restructuring Hargrave in order to set up the money so that it can be spread out over a couple of years and it won't hurt them as bad for when they cut him. If they cut him post June 1st, I still don't see them doing that with Debo because the money is $31 million dead cap next year. And even if you split that up, that's still $16 million dead cap. And then the other 16 or 15 to 16 million goes on the next year, which you already got another 20 million dead cap with Debo. So now you're talking about an even bigger dead cap payment with Debo. I just don't see them doing that. I think the writing was on the wall when they restructured him to begin with. They had no plans of getting rid of Debo. I really think I think all of us took the Pearsall draft pick as, oh, we're transitioning away from Debo, or they weren't going to sign Ayuk. But they obviously re-signed Ayuk, and then when they restructured Debo, they basically told all of us they're trying to keep all of it together. That's what I think they're going to try and do. I think people think of these moves as, in general, as just like they're thinking of it as logical roster moves. But ask yourselves, all the fans out there, ask yourselves, when has this team ever done anything logical? When we talk about the draft, when have they ever made the logical pick? I mean, Bosa, how many years ago was that? But the last 4 years, they haven't made any logical picks. And now this year's draft pick, you might say, hey, they had a really good draft this past year. And they did. The players that they got, like, I can't argue with that. But they still need a tackle. Trent Williams ain't played since when? And he's going to be, what, 37? He's going to be 37 at the beginning of next year. And we just restructured him. I just feel like this team is like, I think they're going to try and run it back. That's really what I look at it as. Brock. Let's talk about Brock for a minute, because Brock didn't play well yesterday. Didn't play well at all, and this is the thing about Brock that I finally come around on. Because I had a lot of buddies from that were fans of other fan bases, other teams, telling me that they kept saying Brock is not that guy. Brock is not that guy. He's and all of us fight back every time somebody calls him a system quarterback, a check down artist, and all the other stuff, which I don't think he's a check down artist. But in a game like yesterday, in a game like the snow game, and anytime you have any kind of weather, it's going to be a struggle, because Brock does not have the physical gifts that he doesn't have big hands to be able to throw the ball in any weather. He just doesn't. That's just it's a physical fact. When Brock is a really good quarterback when all of the things when situations are optimal. When everything's going right, the weather's great, field's great, like everybody's healthy, Brock is your guy. And even then, it has to be schemed up correctly. It really does, because if you watched what Brock did the first year and a half that he was with the 49ers, he was great because Kyle was running the ball 30 times. He was only having to throw the ball 20, 25 times a game. And it was heavy play action, takes a lot of the pressure off of Brock. We said that we wanted to see this season the maturation process, him to be given a little bit of more autonomy. And when they tried the drop back game, and I don't think Kyle's drop back game is perfect by any stretch. I've criticized his drop back passing concepts all season long and last season. But at the same time, he does. You can't argue with the fact that there were, especially in the last game and the game before that, there were guys wide open and Brock could not get them the ball, whether it be because of the weather, whether it be because he can't see over the line, whether it be because he just doesn't have the arm strength to get the ball there. Because everybody talks about his anticipation, which it's amazing, but nobody talks about the fact that he has to have that anticipation. He has to be perfect with that on his timing. He has to have his feet set for him to make a good throw. He doesn't have the arm strength to just make throws when he's just a tick off time. When he's just a tick late. If he's a tick late, there's a good chance that the play is going to go awry. And I hate to say that about Brock because I think he has the part that I like the most about quarterbacks is when they have the thought process, they trust what they see, they can make the reads. I've always thought that that's the most important thing, and it is. It still is. At the same time, what time of year is the playoffs? It's in December, January. What time is the Super Bowl? February. It's the coldest and the rainiest, the worst weather time of the year. This is going to continue to be an issue down the stretches of seasons. He has yet to look good in a weather game. Regardless of what you think of what we have to look at this as we have a good enough number of games now to where we can say this is a thing. And I'm not calling for his job. I think the 49ers are still going to re-sign him. But you have to think that they're going to it's probably not going to be as many years, and it's got to be a team-friendly deal. If it isn't, it could be a problem. Because Brock is going to need optimal conditions at all times to make for it to be him to be a justifiable franchise quarterback in this league. It has to be perfect. The situations have to be perfect. And don't even have to be perfect, but they have to be really good. Because I'll say the situations always haven't been perfect, but in order for him to be able to get the ball to where it's supposed to go, it's just too many underthrown balls. Too many. Because he's a tick late. And teams have gotten really good at putting pressure and just taking him off of his spot and making him a tick late. Because they know, I think that everybody can see, all these teams can see at this point on the tape, that if you take him off his spot and you make him a tick late, that it's gonna be a lot harder for him. And they've made it hard on him all season. He hasn't had the greatest seasons. He definitely did not have the best of games yesterday. So we now so we've talked about Debo, we've talked about Purdy. The running game was non-existent. Garendo struggled to find holes. You could see him thinking too much. He wasn't decisive in his runs, like picking his lanes. It didn't look great. And I think that's part of the reason why Kyle kind of went away from it. But at the same time, he needed to mix in Patrick Taylor. I think if Patrick Taylor runs, just because he's more of a veteran back, I think Kyle should have went ahead and done that. Because 18 runs is not enough in a one-score game. By contrast, the Rams ran the ball 38 times, 20 more times than the 49ers. And not because the game was out of reach, but because in that weather, that was the right thing to do. And they just beat down the Niner defense once Greenlaw came out. They just beat them down yard by yard, 2, 3, 4 yards up at a time, and just chiseled their way down the field. And the 49ers were not willing to do that. He is so stuck on explosive plays at this point that I don't get it. They were trying for an explosive play all game long. And that's what eventually get him. It's really hard to get explosives when you've got that type of weather going on. And but my guy Nate, what's going on, brother? Happy to see you got back on social. I used to call him no social media Nate, and now he's back on social media. I don't even know what to call you no more. but my guy, like, I appreciate you coming through, fam. But so yeah, honestly, the Rams kind of put the 49ers out of their misery. It wouldn't have been good. It wouldn't have been good if they would have even if they would have gotten into the playoffs, in my opinion. Although one bright spot was the defense. I think we saw that the defense. We finally got Dre Greenlaw back. We finally got Hufanga back, and there was immediate returns. People have been saying terrible things about Nick Sorensen all season long, and he has not had a full complement of of his defensive players all season long. It's funny to me that now he gets almost the full complement of players, and he still didn't have a full complement of players. They held the Rams that had just scored the previous week 44 points, like held them to 12. And honestly, if Greenlaw hadn't have had to come out of the game, I don't even know that. I think the 49ers might have ended up holding them. But we can't expect Greenlaw to coming off of hadn't played for a year, almost a year, and then that he wouldn't be tired. And then we're going to talk about Devondre Campbell later. But that is a whole nother subject that we are going to talk about that. Don't you worry. But this defense did a phenomenal job. The last two games, they did a phenomenal job. And it's time for people to back up off of Nick Sorensen. Like, I've said it from the beginning of the season, and people have been talking about Steve Wilks all season, saying, oh, blah, blah, blah. Like, don't you just wish you had Steve Wilks now? No, I don't. No, I don't. Because the reason why the defense the defense wasn't even struggling against the pass. Defense has struggled against the run, but they've had injuries all across the defensive line. Like I'm not going to get into the excuses, but the reality is that Nick Sorensen kept putting these guys in position to get turnovers. He had great coverage scheme. I would say he had really good coverage schemes a lot of the time. There was a lot of broken coverages early on in the season, but I think he had he had to learn as it went, like when to call what. But he was putting guys in position to get turnovers. Guys were not making plays. How many games did we go through where guys were just the ball would hit guys in the hands and they just couldn't come up with the interception? How many fumbles came out that we didn't fall on the ball? Like at a certain point, the players got to make the plays. And yesterday, same thing. As good as the defense played, they should have had at least 3 picks that I saw. They should have had at least 3 picks. Matt Stafford was begging to give them an interception, and they just didn't take advantage. They just did not take advantage. Ball hitting people in the hands, hitting them in the chest. They could have gotten 4, but 3 were, to me, pretty egregious, like that they should have had. And at least 2 of those would have put them almost in the red zone on both of them. So, yeah, as good as the defense played yesterday, they had their own. It really kind of bled over to what we were talking about, which is it's just a microcosm of this team. They put up numbers, but they're empty numbers. They're empty calories. Like we talked about. I've talked about all season where this team is. I mean, they're on offense. They're 9th in passing yards. 9th in the NFL. They're 8th in rushing yards. Does it feel like this offense is 9th in passing yards and 8th in rushing yards? I would say it doesn't. I would say it doesn't. It does not feel. But guess what? In points, they're 15th, which is middle of the road, which that pretty much feels like they've been middle of the road. They've been just good enough to lose all season. And then on defense, they were third third in the league in total yards against on defense. They were third in passing yards against. They were 15th in rushing yards against, which is about where they were. They were middle of the pack. And then sacks, they were 11th. Interceptions, they were 10th. Just a little bit above the middle of the pack. But the defense was not the problem the last 2 games and the one game they won. So that's not even an issue. But definitely not yesterday. It was the offense all day long. You can't even blame it on the special teams. It was the offense all day long. Kyle just could not get out of his own way, and like he couldn't figure out the game plan was garbage. Like we didn't want in a rain game, we couldn't figure out a way to run the ball. Whether that be because our offensive line just wasn't just good enough, or they weren't what do you call it? They weren't just like. I mean, I'm gonna move on. Like they weren't good enough. Now, granted, we had no Trent Williams, but Jalen Moore played admirable. He wasn't the problem. McKivitz can't move anybody. He's terrible at opening up running lanes. You've got Aaron Banks was back, and honestly, not that I wish injury upon anybody, but it would have been better if they would have just left Burford in there. And then Brendel is Brendel. He's serviceable. That was the word I was looking for. He's serviceable. But he's not going to do anything. If he's going to do just enough, and if he doesn't do just enough, it's going to be bad. So it was just a terrible game all the way around. But then, to top it all off, we lose. Gut punch, we lose. Come to find out, Devondre Campbell just decides he's not going to play. He's not going to play anymore. He doesn't want to go back in because Drake Greenlaw was starting to feel sore, naturally speaking. Naturally, because he's coming off of injury, and Devondre Campbell decides he doesn't want to come back in, and he doesn't want to play anymore. He took his ball and went home, and just literally walked to the locker room. Wasn't hurt, wasn't going through any issues like all the other guys on the team. Didn't lose anybody. There was no anything except just a complete and utter selfish move on his part. He's mad. It couldn't have been anything else. He was mad because he got his job the job was just handed back to Drake Greenlaw, and he was feeling some kind of way about it. Because he had the second most tackles on the team. I don't know when just because you got a bunch of tackles, that means you're really good. Like, just because you got a bunch of tackles does not mean that you were like Drake Greenlaw got 9 tackles in a half. But you could see the immediate energy that Drake Greenlaw put into this defense. Devondre Campbell has been not good to serviceable the whole season. He's been not good. And for you to think that you're just going to take Drake Greenlaw's job and that we're not going to start Drake Greenlaw because Devondre Campbell has 76 tackles, you better shut up and go sit down and wait for your turn. They were going to let you back on the field. And now, because you walked off, you're probably not going to get another job. Because guess what happened today? People called it out for what it was, which was just a completely selfish act on his part. And I want to make this clear. Am I a player or was I ever a player? No. Do I know what a locker room is like in the NFL? No, I don't. But I will tell you this: I know that and I don't want to call out him as a man, but as a teammate, I've had teammates, and you can't let your teammates down. There is there's this thing called professionalism. Doesn't matter what job you have. There's a thing called professionalism and doing the things that you said you were going to do, standing on your word, integrity, standing on your word. You signed a contract. I'm pretty sure they told you going into the season that you were going to be a placeholder for Dre Greenlaw. I mean, you weren't even the first option. Kendricks was the first option. He declined because he didn't want to be a placeholder. You want, probably because nobody was calling, you took this job. But then for you to go out like that, like a spoiled brat, and just kind of prove your real worth to this team, that you would just let them go. And Kittle said it all for me, and we're going to hear from him in a little bit. But it was a pathetic display, and it was something that I wouldn't even want to tell my kids why he didn't play. I don't want my kids thinking that it's okay. I don't know how you even explain to anybody that you know that, hey, I left because of this. Everybody's going to be looking at you side eye. What team is going to sign you knowing that at any moment you could just decide, I don't like the way this is going, and I'm just going to leave. And a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, he's a grown man. He can do what he does, what he needs to do for his mental health. And Josina Anderson tried to, and much respect to Josina Anderson, but she tried to get out there and defend him and say that he shouldn't be cut. Like, stop. That is the problem. It's people saying things like that makes people think it's okay. It's okay to not have a work ethic. It's okay to not follow through on your commitments. It's not. It's not okay. It's not a good look. And nothing against anybody, but if you're one of those people that does that, then I mean, I don't know what to tell you. You need to pivot. You need to pivot that, because it's just not a good example. It's definitely not a good example for any type of leadership position or whatever the case is. But it's just not a good look. I think that there is something to be said for integrity. And but Devondre Campbell, I mean, I hope the guy never gets a job again in the NFL. He made his millions. He better have invested, because I would like whatever team he ends up on, I'll be rooting against that team hardcore. He definitely ain't coming to play for the 49ers anymore. Kyle said himself that they just got to figure out how they can make it so that they probably trying to keep his money. Like, but I mean, which I can't be mad at them for that. Did he play most of the season? He probably earned those game checks, but up until that point, I mean, they probably trying to figure out a way to not pay him the rest of his money, because that is egregious. That's egregious. My guy Roberto in the building. Appreciate you coming through, fam. Only the faithful remain. Absolutely. Hi, Mom. And my mom asks, who appointed Debo captain? The players appoint the captains, but I will tell you, Debo is no captain. He is no leader, in my opinion. In my opinion, by his actions alone, I just don't see. I don't see it, and it is what it is. But we're gonna hear a little bit from I want everybody to hear the. I want everybody to hear Warner first. It was Warner first. No, we're gonna go straight to the Kittle. Oh, it was Dre Greenlaw. I wanted everybody to hear Dre Greenlaw what he had to say after the game. Um, it was just good to see Dre Greenlaw. That was really, it was great to see him play and to see literally what could have been if he had played earlier in the season. I think all of us were expecting him to be back around week 6, and it's now week 14. And he didn't play until week 15? 15? Yeah, I think 15. So it's a shame, but it was great to see him on the field and what could be. He's got to come back, in my opinion. I mean, that's my sentimental pick. Like they may think differently because of the injuries, but I think Drake Greenlaw is the type to build a culture around, and there will be teams lined up to sign that man. But let's hear from Dre first.
A moment with you in the tunnel running out. Did you feel that when this is really happening? What was that moment like?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, just Fred. He's one of them guys that, he's just been there with me throughout every step of my career. So he knows how much I want to be out there. He knows how much it meant to me. I know how bad he wanted me out there too. So anytime we can suit up and go out there and play, I mean, that's what we want. That's what we love.
What happened in the third quarter there where you came out? I think you hit Corum near the sideline, then you came off and the leg tightened up.
Just knee kind of felt a little weird, so just wanted to protect myself a little bit. Yeah, just knee kind of didn't feel right, so everything kind of get a little tight. Just got to make sure I use precaution on it.
Achilles?
Yeah, Achilles is good. Yeah.
Many words. Each player that has come up here to speak has basically said that your presence, your personality, your play is infectious. It's often said that in order to make it to the pro level, you have to have some obnoxious amount of confidence in who you are as an athlete. With 23% of a chance to make it to the playoffs, if the better time to be obnoxious is now. Do you think that that is the ability right now in that locker room to be that type of confidence to win out for the rest of the season and seize the moment that you guys have in that 23% to win this season?
I mean, I feel like I got confidence in every guy in the room or in that locker room that they gonna come out and they gonna give it their all. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, I don't know what it takes for us to go and, whatever percent chance we have, I'm not even looking into none of that. I'm just trying to win the next game.
Just want to
enjoy being out there with my teammates. I'm trying to win every game. So if we win every game, I know if we win every game, then we have a chance or something like that. But honestly, I'm enjoying playing football with these guys, and yeah.
Dre, the passion and fervor in which you play, where does that come from? And the last time that you were on the football field, you got injured in the Super Bowl. What have you missed about the game?
I think that passion just comes from just not ever being good enough. You know what I mean? So, just always just not just quite good enough for somebody or for something or whatever it may be. But it just comes from just passion and drive and just wanting to be the best and want to get better and see how good I can be. You know what I mean? I don't play for nobody else, but just to see how good I can be because, I just been through a lot of stuff in life, and I've been given this opportunity to play football. Started in like 8th grade, and it's been with me along this whole journey. So that's where that passion just comes from. It's been there for me this whole time. But so yeah, what was your other part of your question?
What have you missed about the game?
I miss just letting my, anger and frustration out. I just like going to hit people sometimes, and it lets a lot of frustration out. Just makes me feel better. I don't know. I miss everything about it. The fans, going out there in Levi's, just playing next to Fred, just that feeling of playing next to him. Everything about it.
A couple months ago where I think he was in a practice and you were just throwing the ball around with Fred and you like jumped up and caught one. Fred had to tell you to calm down. How hard was it for you to like limit yourself in the ramp up and sort of trust that?
No, for sure. It definitely was hard because there were some times when I feel like I can go. Like, I'm just, all right, let's go. Let's kick it off. And that's kind of like how I've always been, just, all right, let's just get to it. So, whatever happens, happen. But, I think, just at this particular time and in my career, like, can't afford to get hurt too much more. I don't want to be in this position again next year where I got to watch the whole team do it. So I try my best just to try to be as smart as I can on it. Take it, one day at a time, and just thankful to have everybody in my corner, good teammates to kind of just have my back along the process.
I feel like defense played, obviously only didn't allow a touchdown, only allowed 12 points, but in the second half, the Rams moved the ball better and decided the game ultimately. How do you look back on the defense?
I feel like the defense played okay. I feel like we played all right. I feel like it was a little bit too much in the run game sometimes. But I think that's just with just being confident and like really attacking and being 100% sure about our job. But I feel like we've played enough, good enough to win. We just got to get takeaways. I think, just not getting the takeaways and, changing the game in that form. I think that's just kind of what we're missing right now. We had the opportunity. We just got to make the ones they throw to us. Mm-hmm. And, it'll come. We got to keep working at it.
Congrats on getting back. You like to take out your frustration. 305 days between games. How much frustration is built in those 305 days?
If I was healthy, I'd play another game tomorrow.
The second, were you walking with any sort of limp? Like, does the body feel good right now?
Yeah, I'm sore. I played a lot of plays. I'm sore, so it's expected. Everything I feel is expected. Knee sore, just same side as the surgery, so everything is probably a little tighter. Just got to go, get 10 days, luckily, into the next game. So just, get the range of motion in it, get the strength back in it, and get the confidence back in it, and it'll be good.
So getting back.
Appreciate it.
Loved seeing Dre back. Like, he just brought such energy to this defense that you can't stress it enough. It was like, I think that people underestimated how much they missed him and how much having a slug like Devondre Campbell out there with Fred was just – there was a reason why they kept trying to insert D. Winters in there just to get some kind of spark. But I don't think any of those guys could have ever gotten to the point of having Dre out there. I think he proved in this last game that, and he's proven himself throughout his career, but he really proved in this last game how integral he is to this defense. In the run game and in the pass. We've seen it in the pass game. So, but we're about to hear from Kittle, so I'm just going to go right into that.
More into the game when he was asked.
You can laugh about it now.
I don't know. He didn't want to play, so I guess if you don't want to play, you ain't got to play. So you ain't want to play.
You were over there last week.
I was. I like to jump around.
Yes, ma'am.
Offensive side of the ball, obviously. But you're a leader on this team. Your voice means a lot to the locker room. To know that a player decided, for whatever reason, to choose himself, I'll put it that way. Mm-hmm. What do you think of that?
I didn't really hear anything about it until I got in the locker room, so it's all brand new information to me. Look, if you're on the roster, and you suit up, you're expected to play. I think anyone in this building that got asked to go in, I would say 100% of everybody would die to get on that football field. And so, people are going through random things off the field. I can't speak on that. Whatever, his decision was, it wasn't for this organization. It wasn't for this team. And no, that's on him. So, not very happy about it. I would have something to say. I wish I would have heard about it on the field, but I didn't. Now, is that the reason we lost? Absolutely not. But you don't really. It's hard to win football games when someone doesn't want to play football, especially when you're suited up. And it kind of puts you down, especially when you lose 2 linebackers, and could address another one. But
Ask Kyle. I mean, at this point in the season, with the season going the way it's gone, you need as much camaraderie as you can get on a team to rally at this point in the season with so much on the line. Does that create dissension or disbelief or just disconnection on the sideline?
Not disbelief or disconnection like as a team. That is one person who just decided not to, play for his teammates. And I don't think that doesn't make our offense look at each other and be like, wow, man, we're falling apart. It's more of or like the defense, hey, we're falling apart. It's more of a one person making like Mooney said, a selfish decision. And I'm with Mooney on that. And I've never been around anybody that's ever done that. And I hope I'm never around anybody that does that again.
Juxtapose that against what Dre did tonight. What was that like to watch?
All I asked for my tight end room today was to play with 1/5 of the energy that Dre Greenlaw brings on every single snap. And I thought our tight end room did a good job about that. I thought, we brought energy. We tried our best. Dre Greenlaw is one of my favorite football players to ever watch. The energy that he plays with, the violence that he plays with on every single snap. And you can just tell the energy that he brings to the entire defense and the entire team is infectious. It's unique. It's one of a kind. And he is an absolute unicorn of a football player. And it was just so fun to see him have the opportunity to play again tonight.
Why is it so hard for the offense to find a rhythm and produce tonight?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know any of the statistics. I know that we were averaging like 3 yards a play at halftime. I don't know what it was after that. They came out in some funky looks once in a while, but I thought as like skill positions, whether it was tight end, quarterback, running back, fullback, wide receiver, like I just thought we could have stepped up our game and played better, and we didn't. Our defense gave us an unlimited amount of opportunities to go out there and make it score points, put us in decent field position. And we ultimately ended up losing the field position battle, put our defense in bad positions, and they did a good job of wearing us down. Especially when you lose multiple players on defense, it's hard to continually play at the level that they were playing at the entire game. So nothing. I mean, I have to watch the tape. I got to see it. So, but I mean, I ultimately we had opportunities to make plays and we didn't.
Obviously expressed his frustration earlier during the week. He has that ball over the middle. Could have been. Everybody saw it. Could have been a touchdown.
This is my This is, second favorite part of the interview of his part of the press conference. But love his answer to this.
Sense that maybe he's putting pressure on himself. What do you think's happening there?
I mean, I don't really see Deebo drop passes like that. I think he's one of the best in the world when it comes to being open across the middle of the field and taking a ball to the house. Deebo's he's just so excited to make a play because, you guys saw his tweet or whatever it was, like of frustration, whatever that is. And I think it's not an anxiety. It's just, he's just so giddy and ready to play football. And I've never seen him drop a pass like that before. So like I said,
that's not true.
It didn't need to come down to that. And I know, whatever Deebo said to you guys, I bet you he's hurting. But Deebo's he's still a very talented player. And I need him to continue to play at a high level for the rest of the season.
It's like they threw a decent amount of press man, at least much more than the Bears did last week. I mean, why has press man specifically been a challenge for this offense this season?
It's a good question. I don't really feel troubled by it. I like press man. I like being physical. I like it when guys are in my face. Teams do a really good job of that. When you play the press man with the lurk stuff, it takes away, they do a good job about taking away your first read. And you rely on your, third and fourth guys to, win these one-on-ones. And when you have a good pass rush too, it's hard to get to the third and fourth guy. And so I think a lot of teams have been doing a really good job about that, whether it's, some of our favorite concepts are doing a good job of taking away. But, I mean, our offense just, continually throughout the season, and I've said it 100 times, is we have to play better. We have to take advantage of the opportunities that are in front of us, and we did not really do that tonight.
George, when you Brock was kind of kicking himself for being aggressive on the interception rather than checking it down, but I think part of the reason he's been successful, he's been aggressive in his career. So, I mean, how do you balance that, and how do you look at Brock when he's kind of taking a bullet after this one, saying he's failed the team?
It's a team sport. It is. And I know, like, the quarterback position is highlighted because you're responsible for the football in every situation. I can say that it shouldn't have come down to that. We could have made plays in other positions. We could have ran the ball better. We could have done a lot of things better to not be in that position. But, Brock he's a selfless person. He does not have an ego. He is a fantastic leader. He's a fantastic playmaker. We win games because of him. I don't want him to wear that, on his shoulders. But, I mean, when you're the quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers, there's always a spotlight on you. There's always a highlight on you. I mean, I've said that any quarterback that has ever played for the Niners, just an automatic spotlight on you. And I love him for, doing that and taking the blame, but it's not on him. It's not. But I do love and respect him for doing that.
You're one of the leaders.
You've been cut off a lot, Eric.
No, it's all right.
Okay. It's your turn now.
You said you would have liked to know in the moment about what Devondre did,
Sure,
rather than find out after the game. Why is that?
because I'm a leader on the team, and if that is something that is being a distraction on the sideline, I would love to voice my own opinion in the moment. And now we're past that moment, so it doesn't matter what I wish I could have said or wish I could have done. But I don't like distractions on the sideline. I think that's ignorant, and I think it's just dumb. It's just stupid, and it's very immature. And I just don't see how that's I just don't see how you can do something like that to your team.
George, you are one of the leaders on the team, and this isn't familiar territory. You guys haven't gotten used to losing. What do you want to see from this team as far as effort, energy, whatever, down the stretch, if indeed you guys are not going to the playoffs?
You know what? I'm just going to quote my safety, Huff. He broke the team down after the game, and he said that his mindset and his attitude will be 100% effort on every single day, every practice, every single rep, and he will fight until the wheels fall off because he has been fighting his ass off to get back on the football field this year, and he has only gotten so many reps, and he's played really, really good football for us. And he said that he's just going to bring it, and he expects everybody around him to also bring a fiery energy, to bring the passion, no matter what circumstances are, no matter what percentage, no matter what odds have to happen for us to continue playing later this year. But we just have to focus on this one game, take these 3 days, get away, and show up on Monday with great intent and great effort.
George, you have.
They're here first, and I'll come to you. Oh, you're way over there.
George, you aforementioned what Dre Greenlaw means to the team and what you told the tight end room. What does Dre Greenlaw mean to you, and how does he inspire you?
His, my wife is calling me, sorry. His desire to play football in the most violent way possible, there are not very many people that do that. I mean, I don't think there's another person on the roster in the NFL that plays the game that he does. He is an old soul. He's a guy who could play in the 90s, the 2000s, and I absolutely love everything about that he does in every snap, the energy that he brings. He could be on the other side of the damn field, and they could have a screen away from him, and he's going to somehow end up in the film, somehow on top of the pile, screaming and hyping up everybody around him. And when you have people like that on your team, it gets everybody going. And he is that player for us. He makes Fred play better. He makes Huff play better. He makes Bosa play better. And when you feel that out there, our defense is so much better with a guy like Dre Greenlaw. And he inspires our offense. When you see him make those plays, he's an incredible one-of-one person. Jennifer.
George, you were talking to Debo at the end of the game in the locker room. What kind of words of encouragement were you offering him?
My words of encouragement to Debo.
This is my favorite part.
Do I want to share that with you guys? I don't know. Basically just said, one, there's things that you just have to take on the chin. Like, talk to the media, take ownership of whatever you had said before, how you played tonight, take ownership of it, leave it in the past and move on, because there's better days ahead for Debo. There's plays to be made for Debo, and he has more opportunities ahead of him to make plays for this team, and I believe in Debo. And I've had games where I've had drops. I've had games where I did not play my best game, and people picked me up and allowed me to play at a high level again. And I love Debo, and he while it was not his night tonight, when he did get the ball in his hands, I thought he fought his ass off to try to make plays for us. And I know he'll be eating himself over that one drop, and but he has plenty of plays ahead.
That is a leader. Like, to tell Debo is the only captain on the 49ers, I think, other than, Brock. Brock had struggled. But he's the only one that one of the other captains has to come to and console and talk down from his ledge. The whole point of being a captain is you're supposed to be that for the rest of the team. You're supposed to galvanize the rest of the team. You're supposed to lead. That alone tells me that when somebody else has to come to you to calm you down, to get you locked in, no pun intended, that to me, that means you're not much of a leader. Like, in my opinion. But he was voted on by the players to be the captain. I can't speak on it otherwise. So it is what it is. I don't know if they're just giving that out because he's been there a long time, or what we're doing. But yeah, I think that everything that Kittle said is leadership, taking accountability. That the offense should have been better. We needed to play better. Brock coming out there, I could have played better. I let the team down. Like, that's leadership. Taking accountability and taking some of the pressure off of the rest of the guys. That is what it's about. Because when you win and everything is great, everybody gets to bask in the glory of wins. Everybody gets to feel it. And if you are one of the people that made a big play in the game, you get to feel it even more. But when you're the captain, you got to get in front of those cameras with rain, sleet, or snow. So, I don't know. But I'm going to switch it up to Kyle had a conference call today. Shout out to 49ers Web Zone, my guy Brian and Al Sacco. They put that on their channel today, so I'm going to play that for you guys. I want to give a shout out to my guy Rick Diaz in the house. Appreciate you coming through, fam. And Eric Wallace. Even though he's a Seahawks fan, he's our Seahawks fan. Appreciate you coming through, fam. So let's hear from Kyle. Where is it? There it is.
All right, guys. Injuries from the game. Jair Brown had a groin. Checked out pretty good, though. He'll be day-to-day. D. Winter, same thing with his neck. He'll be day-to-day also. Greenlaw with his Achilles/knee. Checked out good, so he's just dealing with some soreness. So he should be good going forward. He'll be day-to-day. And that's it from the game.
Kyle, what are your plans to do with Devondre Campbell?
Of course, first question.
We're working through the semantics of exactly how to deal with it. But, I mean, you guys heard from me last night. You guys heard from our players. His actions from the game is just it's not something you can do to your team or your teammates and still expect to be a part of our team. So we're working through exactly the semantics of it right now, but we'll handle the situation appropriately.
He gone.
Has there been any contact with him, Kyle? Has he further explained if anything was going on, why he did that?
No.
Wow. Wow.
Kyle, when Fred had to leave in the, I guess, second quarter for a snap, Flanagan Fowles went in instead of Campbell to replace him. I mean, did you have any sense before that something may have been off with Devondre, or just why didn't he go in it for that snap, and why did Flanagan Fowles replace Fred?
Just because he wasn't by the teammates at all and was distant from everyone. I didn't notice till the third quarter when Dre came out and D went in. And then I got on the defense headset and asked what was going on. And then the coaches told me. And then I addressed Devondre and found out. And it was pretty simple to see how he was. And then we moved on with our lives after that.
What's your perspective, just where the team is right now, and hope, and what your goals are, and what you want to accomplish the rest of the season, just to, basically in essence set yourself up for 2025.
I want us to show up next week like we showed up for this game. I thought our guys came out ready to play. I thought they were extremely physical. I thought our guys battled. I don't think we played very well in offense. I thought there was a few key plays that we could have made that would have been the difference in the game. But I thought our guys sold out for that game, and I expect them to sell out here for these next 3 games. Every time we have on our uniform when we go out on the field, regardless of the situation, I expect us to play a certain way. That's the standard of how we do things, and if you can't play to that standard, then make it easy for us and show us that, and you won't be a part of it.
I realize this has been happening all season, but will you start to work in younger players, less experienced players, with an eye toward 2025?
Good question.
I mean, anybody has an opportunity, like that we think can help us going forward and stuff. We would definitely do that, but I think you kind of said in your question, we've already been doing that. We are playing a lot of young players right now, and a lot of guys got their opportunities early because of injuries, and they're continuing to get it. So there's not a lot of options there after that. But we're going to keep playing the guys to give us the best chance to win every week, and what we plan on doing.
Do you expect what have you seen from Jacob Cowling as a returner? It seems like he's come really close to breaking one, and he actually did a really good job in the hidden yardage department last night. What have you seen from him as a returner, and what has led to him getting more snaps?
We've seen him really in the last month. We felt take a step forward in his returning. He missed that game with a concussion, and when we came back from that, we felt like he's been close. We think he's improved throughout this year, and finishing strong right now, and hopefully he'll finish even stronger in these next 3 games.
Kyle, now that you can look back on it just by several hours ago, was Dre Greenlaw's performance last night maybe even a little more amazing than you thought at first glance?
I mean, I thought it was pretty amazing at first glance, and so I just confirmed it. Dre, he's an amazing player, and it's not the first time he did that. And a few years ago, I think 21 it was. I'm pretty sure it's 21. His first game of he got hurt in week 1 versus Detroit, and the next time he played was in week 17 versus the Rams when we needed to win that to go to the playoffs. And that game, I thought he had one of the best games I've ever seen from a linebacker play, and it was looking a lot like that last night too. Exactly the same. It was just only a half of football, but it was amazing.
Kyle, what gives you hope for a better season in 2025?
Talk about 2025. I mean, when we get to 2025, but you have hope every year. You put together the best team possible. You go and practice, and you go out there and you battle. So that's what we do every single off season. You figure out how to get the best players possible through free agency and the draft. You try to keep your best players as possible. You go to work, and you show for week 1.
Kyle, just to be clear, you don't expect Devondre Campbell to be in the team week 16 and beyond?
No, I don't.
Hell no.
Kyle,
Gotta
what
go.
had been your assessment of how Devondre played this year and kind of how he fit in previous to what happened last night?
Ooh.
I mean, we were needing a starting caliber linebacker to fill in for Dre until he could get back. We didn't know how long that would be. I thought he had some ups and downs throughout the year. I thought he started off slow. I thought he got more used to our defense and how we expected people to play, and I thought he improved throughout the year.
Kyle, to
Which is true.
play an entire game and not get in the red zone, has that happened before in your career as a play caller, to your knowledge?
I'm not sure exactly. I don't remember. I've been doing it for a long time.
Kyle, after the game, when you talked about Brock's interception, it almost sounded like you felt like he made the right read. Brock said that, on second down, he wished he had just checked it down. But at the time he let go of that ball, did you think that was the right decision that he made?
Yeah, I think you got to put yourself in the quarterback's shoes. I mean, when you have a remote in your hand, you can see it all. You got a zoning corner who's failing a little bit, and you never want to throw that, as we'd say, when the receiver's chasing a ghost. But there is a pass rush and stuff. He's holding the safety, and when you look out there, the corner did buckle. And that's why there was some contact, which slowed Juwan down because the corner did stop on the double move and collided with Juwan. That's why he couldn't get back going and catch up to the ball. So, yeah, when you get a cover 3 and they're off, you would love to get to a check down. It's a much better percentage of it. But that's not so easy. So I understand why he threw it. That's why I wish I didn't call it. So there wasn't any indecision. It had an opportunity, but corner ended up making a good play, and we didn't get it done.
Are you kidding me?
Kyle, after the game at Debo was.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I understand what Kyle's saying. I think that is the first time I want to say that is the first time I've ever heard Kyle say that he should not have called something and taken accountability for a Purdy interception or anybody's interception. I mean, correct me. Somebody needs to correct me if I'm wrong. I can't remember Kyle ever saying that he called the wrong play. He's always been quick to say the answer is in the play, he just didn't see it. That's something to keep an eye on.
His performance. What did you see from his performance after looking at the film, and did you have any chance to talk to him at all after the game?
No, I didn't get a chance to talk to him after the game, but I think it was pretty obvious. Debo did the best with his opportunities, and the best opportunity he had, he didn't look the ball in. Got too excited probably trying to score, and he had the same route earlier in the game out of the backfield on a 1st and 10 where he gained about 6 yards, and on this one they blitzed, so he had a good look and didn't look it in and had a big drop. So that was about it.
Mm.
Kyle, is there any update with Trent Williams and whether what he plans to do the next few games?
Why play him?
He's trying to get back, but it's just been a frustrating injury for him. It hasn't healed it like he or we would like.
Because he's old.
Hopefully it can, having these 10 more days before our next game, hopefully that gives a better chance. But, Trent's doing everything he can to get back, but he is injured. And with the injury, there is a chance he will get back, but it has to start recovering, and it's been a lot slower than anticipated.
We'll take 2 more, guys.
Kyle, did you tell Devondre to go to the locker room after you talked to him?
No, I didn't.
He just went on his own?
I'm not sure exactly what led to him leaving the field, but once I found out he wasn't playing, I moved on to people who we could count on.
Mm.
Okay.
So in other words, yes, he walked off on his own accord.
Anything else, guys?
Nick Bosa came out of the game fine, I'm assuming, since he wasn't on the injury report.
Yeah, no report of anything today. So it was awesome to get Nick back, and he really helped us, and it was good signs that they didn't tell me about anything today.
All right. So, for real. What's going on, my guy, Terror Dome? Appreciate you coming through, fam. And yes, that is absolutely as close as we will ever get to Kyle saying it's my bad. But maybe I'm making too much of it, but him saying that maybe he called the wrong play is, to me, is really, like, I don't think I've ever heard him say it. I don't think I've ever. And Terradome, if you're still here, like, can you think of a time where Kyle has ever said, I should not have called that? There, I've never heard him say anything like that. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm making too much of a big deal, but to me, that is a huge statement by Kyle, because we're so used to him not taking accountability for his game plans, him not taking any accountability for the way the team plays, to be honest. So it's that's wild. But so 49ers are now 6-8. They're maybe not mathematically eliminated, but they're eliminated. Let's just be real. Like, it would take such a humongous, like, so many dominoes would have to fall. Almost a rapture would have to happen for them to come back and make it into the playoffs. So what do the 49ers do now? I think that the reporters had valid questions as to, are they going to play more of their young guys? I think that the other guys want reps, but I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of guys got to rest and get healthy for next season. But I think that it's valid what Huff said, in that he had been fighting to get on the field. He needs the reps just to kind of grease the wheels, if you will. And so I think that we're going to see these guys, if even at a limited capacity, I expect to see them out there. But I was thinking about this coming driving today, and this gives Kyle a complete hall pass and a complete opportunity, is the word, because now he can try stuff out and see what actually works with Brock Purdy, and see if he can't find something that isn't what they were running before, but can they find something and find a rhythm like they had, and it not be the same old just play action, run, play action? Can they find something else? Can he get better at the drop back game? Can he just try some stuff out with the drop back game and go against some of his normal rules? Just try it out, see if he likes it. I think the opportunity is there. Will Kyle take it? I don't know. I would like to see him, but I get the feeling that he is not going to want to show the league anything new from him, just in case he wants to try it out next season. Kyle is a big secretist, and like doesn't like the other team knowing who's healthy, who's hurt. Doesn't like the other team giving the other team any kind of information. So it wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me at all if it didn't if he didn't, and he just kept running the status quo stuff. But I hope so. I hope we see some different looks and some different opportunities for the young guys to get even more snaps and just be part of and maybe see some of those young guys get some snaps on the offensive side. I would like to see Abanaconda, I'm going to say it again. I want to see Abanaconda get some reps. I want to see Cowing get some reps at wide receiver. I want to see the Pearsall be the focal point in a couple of these plays. So that's what we're looking for in the next game. We got a while to get to another game, but yeah, it's kind of an anticlimactic season, y'all. But this is we will still be here. They don't call us faithful for nothing, and it's our turn to just kind of give it a hoosah and get through the rest of the season. But the NFL just never stops, so we're gonna be here. I'll be here for you, and just keeping you updated on everything that is going on. We still got the rest of the season to get through, but even after that, we're gonna get into draft. To the draft, we're going to get into free agency. We're going to get into all the possibilities of what could happen next year for this team. But I think there's going to be massive changes. I don't think they're going to run it back with the same crew. I think that there's going to be massive changes because that's usually what happens when the 49ers don't get where they need to be. There's massive changes. So, but with that being said, I appreciate everybody coming through. I appreciate everybody coming through for this. I mean, season's not over. And I'll be back next Tuesday. But I appreciate everybody coming out tonight on a Friday night and taking a look and going over with me, reliving the pain, if you will. But yeah, like I said, I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Twitch. Anywhere where you can get your audio podcast. Doesn't matter where you get it, just get it. And make sure you give the video a like. Make sure that you give it a subscribe. Make sure that you hit the bell so you get the notifications for when I go live. And tell a friend. Let's get this community going. I would like to see more and more people get involved in the chat. More and more people bring their questions. More and more people bring the ideas of what could be, what may happen. Give us some ideas of things that we just didn't think we're not thinking about. Get involved. But I will see you guys next Tuesday on Beto's show. Me, Beto, and Brandon, the Niner Boys. We'll be on that on next Tuesday, and then I'll be back on my show on Thursday. And I may or may not have a guest, but I'll be here. But you guys have a great weekend. Remember, hey, every show, I got to talk about it. Go hug your loved ones. Go hug your friend. Tell your friends how you feel about them. Get involved. Don't leave your peoples by the wayside. But yeah, you guys have a great weekend. I'm gonna go spend some time with my family, and you do the same with yours. But as always, go Niners.